Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening by Robert Frost.
Whose woods these are? I think I know. His house is in the village, though. He will not see me stopping here to watch his woods fill up with snow. My little horse must think it queer to stop without a farmhouse near, between the woods and frozen lake, the darkest evening of the year. He gives his harness bells a shake to ask if there is some mistake. The only other sounds the sweep of easy wind and downy flake. The woods are lovely, dark, and deep, but I have promises to keep, and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep.
Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening was written in 1922, so that means it's part of the modernist era of poetry. So as a result, there are many elements of modernism, like discussing feelings of alienation, disillusionment, the stream of consciousness, using sharp, clear images, following a strict form. Robert Frost was a poet who was based in Vermont. He had lots of exposure to the woods. The immediate question to ask is, what do the woods represent? I've personally come up with two interpretations. Number one is that the woods represent the speaker's escape from reality, and number two is that the woods represent the speaker's isolation and alienation in society. In the first stanza of the poem, we see immediately how the speaker has a sort of anxiety about being in someone else's woods. It's almost as if the speaker feels he's not allowed to be in the woods, or as if him being there is a waste of time. However, the speaker also makes a distinction between a woods and a village, with the village presenting the boring humdrum of everyday life, and the woods presenting the speaker's escape from that. Based on that assumption, the he that the speaker believes owns the woods could be in fact himself. This is a way to say that the speaker owns his own woods, owns his own escape outside of his monotonous life, but feels that traveling to that escape is a bad thing and a waste of time. The second stanza can be analyzed as a continuation of this idea, but this time through the horse, which again could be a metaphor for the speaker himself. The speaker, or the horse, thinks it's strange to be stopped in the woods, to not be forced to march along in its mundane existence. However, this stanza also evokes feelings that coincide with our second interpretation of what the woods mean. This is feeling isolated and disconnected from society, especially since the speaker is all alone in the woods with no settlement or people near. The third stanza is notable for its use of the word harness. A harness can represent how the speaker feels bound and restricted by his society and becomes confused when he is given the freedom to stop and look around in the woods. Another element of restriction in this poem is its form. Every single line in it is written in iambic tetrameter and with 8 syllables. The last stanza is the only one in the poem that has commas, which reflects the modernist fascination with discussing the stream of consciousness. With its perfect rhymes at the end of each line, this stanza also completely disregards the rest of the poem's rhyme structure, which until now has been AABA, BB, CB, CC, DC. This divergence could symbolize the speaker's return to reality and realization that he must leave the woods. While he paints his escape in the woods as lovely, he also believes it to be a dark distraction from reality and knows that he needs to leave. And of course, the repetition at the end can signify how the return to his tedious life is cyclical and never-ending, and the title is pretty much the perfect summary of all of these themes. There should be a particular emphasis on how it is called stopping by woods, further indicating how the speaker cannot fully be in his own escape because his duty to his uneventful life is overbearing every thought. I really, really like this poem. There's so much more that I could say, but what really draws me to it is the fact that it's so universal. I really identify with so many of the feelings it evokes, like the alienation, feeling that your life is monotone and that you're swept up in a cycle every single day, everything's the same. Love how it represents the tension between wanting to escape and also having promises to keep and miles to go before you can sleep.